One of the things I'd like to talk about today is preferences of a wheel, helm wheel versus tiller. This is a Collinwood 2019 boat, and on this boat I have the helm as the main wheel. So one of the things that I like about using the helm wheel is I have access to everything I need. So I have my throttle positioning and gear selection close at hand, bow thruster, horn and light, all my gauges, any warning lights I can view. I then have the ability to steer the boat from this position. One of the things you'll notice with the helm wheel though is just the amount of revolutions that it takes to get from one lock to the other, and this is probably the main reason why, particularly on canals, a lot of people who have a wheel tend not to use it. So what you'll notice now is just me demonstrating to go from a center position to a full lock, and then from this full lock I will now go to the other full lock, and just notice the amount of time it takes for me to do that process. Whereas obviously with a tiller it would be much quicker. So there's the other lock. One of the nice things with using the helm though is because it is hydraulic, what it means is whatever position you leave your rudder at, so say for example it's at that position, I can now leave it at this position whether I'm going forwards or backwards. I can step away from the helm and the rudder will stay in its fixed position, allowing the boat to say drift for example over to the right, or if I'm coming up to say more up in the left, and I want to come in just gently, I can just allow the boat to sort of start to make its maneuver while I go off and do something else or do a check or maybe get a rope ready. The boat will be continuing in the angle that I've set it at. What I've found with using the helm wheel over the last 18 months is doing it in this method does take a long time, and you'd find yourself getting crossed hand. So the use of just one of your fingers anywhere up and down any of the legs allows you to rotate from one lock, which is that, over to the other lock, which is that, in quick succession, back to a center position quite quickly. So if you need to do a quick maneuver, a bit more rudder than you may necessarily need for your general sailing, using a finger allows you to do that a lot quickly. If you had a ball on the wheel, you'd be then wondering whereabouts on the wheel is the ball to get access to that first, whereas just by putting your finger in any of the slots it allows you to start the rotation. Also, depending on what you can do, you can move your position up and down, so you're not having to go round completely with the wheel all the time. So one of the things I'm going to demonstrate now is that I've attached the emergency tiller, and what you'll notice is that with a tiller, if I had people trying to sit around the back area, as I'm operating the tiller arm, I would be getting in the way of all those people. Whereas obviously by me using the wheel, it keeps this entire seating area free. The table with drinks on, so I've had 5 or 6 people sat on the back here as we've cruised down the cut with no issue at all. One of the things you'll notice obviously when the wheel is in operation is, because it's hydraulic, what it means now is this rudder is actually locked in that position. So whether I'm going forwards or backwards, the rudder will stay in the position that you leave it in. Whereas with the normal tiller, it would obviously move about freely. So using the sort of hand method, what you'll notice is, can you see the speed in which the tiller is moving? And this is why a lot of people don't like using the wheel. It's because the speed in which it takes for the tiller movement and reach. So if you're not used to maneuvering the boat, you can spend a lot of time doing this all day as you are cruising the cut. So what I'm going to demonstrate now is using the finger method in the wheel and spinning it round. Notice the tiller position. This is at full lock. The other thing you also find with wheeled steered boats with hydraulics is that because the piston that drives the rudder left and right only has a certain range of movement, is they then put 2 steel bars in to limit how much the rudder can do. So whenever you've got a wheeled steer wide beam canal boat, you're not going to get the same amount of movement with the rudder as you would with a conventional tiller type boat. So here is the demonstration of this tiller moving from one lock to the other using the rapid movement of your finger rotating around the wheel. So here we go. So from one lock back to the other lock, back to the other lock. So yes, it does involve a little bit more movement of your hand, but I think for me the balance of using the wheel versus the tiller, for me I've just learned to use the wheel, and it's what I really enjoy using. It allows you to be free from this position to go and check how close you are to a bridge. If you're mooring up on that side, it also gives you access then to look at what you're doing on that side, which is now further away because your wheel is not central. The other thing to consider about a tiller is obviously bearing in mind my throttle position is here. If my tiller is over in this position, I'm a really long way away from adjusting the throttle should I need it in this full tiller position. I'd be coming back to here to go back to here. So for me, having everything in one location just works. One of the things just to show you at the moment is the emergency tiller and how that works. So what you can see here is that you lift this back section up on this 2019 column wood. What you would then do is you would rotate this valve, which then allows this to be disengaged from the hydraulic system. You then put these 2 pieces of rod on, thank you Bert, and that allows you to use the tiller. What you'll notice over here as well is this little black section here is actually what is the reader for my rudder positioning. So you'll notice that there's a central screw in there. If your rudder is not square and you find that you're on 0 but your boat's turning, you can just gently twist that left or right, and that will then re-zero or calibrate your rudder positioning. Also, what I described earlier is these 2 metal bars, so they do limit how much movement your actual rudder can do. So if you are thinking about buying a boat where it has a helm wheel, you will be limited to the amount of travel. So you do have to be a little bit more conscious about your sailing and being a little bit more precise. But apart from that, I think that's pretty much it from me on this slightly damp day talking wheel versus tiller. Hope you've enjoyed.